Sit back and relax, educate and inform. Cozy conversations, drop the knowledge that's for real. Indigo Studio, always in the know. With Hermine Hartman, you'll be enlightened. Up and up we grow.
Hi, my name is Hermine Hartman with Indigo Studio. Today we talk to David Mossiotra. He's a writer and author. His latest book, I Am Somebody, Why Reverend Jesse Jackson Matters. He's a political columnist with Salon, and he also writes for Atlantic Magazine. Teaches literature and writing at Indiana University. He takes a deep dive on Reverend Jackson's contributions to America, and he writes that Jackson is one of the most important civil rights figures in the 20th century, with bookends of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and President Barack Obama. He puts Jackson in a historical perspective, and we're going to talk to him about the book and Jackson's career, and then we're going to talk to the legend himself.
Cozy conversations, drop the knowledge that's for real.
David, welcome to Indigo Studio.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You've written a beautiful book, wonderful book, and a definitive book. Why did you write this book, and tell us how long did it take you to write it?
Well, I had the pleasure and the privilege of first meeting Reverend Jesse Jackson 6 years ago to interview him on the occasion of the 30th anniversary of his first historic and groundbreaking presidential campaign. And it was a true blessing of my life that he and I developed a rapport. So that first interview led to many more interviews, and I was able to accompany him on some of his travels. And I realized that one article or even a series of articles was insufficient to capture this momentous life and to capture the profound implications of this life, because as I argue in the book, Reverend Jackson is the most effective and consequential living civil rights leader. So through a study of his life, his accomplishments, his struggles, his battles, we not only learn about, as the subtitle suggests, why Jesse Jackson matters, but we also learn about what it is that Reverend Jackson fought.
So you say, you write, that Reverend Jackson is one of the most important civil rights figures in the 20th century. Elaborate on that.
Well, as many of your viewers might know, he was an aide to Dr. Martin Luther King, and he worked to universalize the franchise. He also worked to import the movement from the South to the northern United States and to urbanize the movement. So to take it out of the pastoral precincts and into the major northern cities. And he did so with what Middlebury University calls the most important but least known civil rights story in American history, and that's Operation Breadbasket and the early years of Operation Push, which led to the employment of thousands of black workers, the admission of thousands of workers into trade unions, and the procurement of millions of dollars in profit for black business owners who were otherwise excluded. And then in the 80s, you get to his presidential campaigns, which really laid the foundation for the diversification of the Democratic Party and the transformation of the Democratic Party into a progressive movement.
So he really laid the groundwork with the presidential runs, 84, 88. A lot of people say he made the path for President Obama, but he really made the path for Clinton, President Obama, and Hillary Clinton's run. He changed the Democratic Party. Talk about that, what that change looks like.
Well, there is no way to comprehend the modern Democratic Party without understanding and appreciating Reverend Jackson's campaign and influence. So in '84, he strongly advocated for a more prominent role for women in the party, which led to Geraldine Ferraro on the ticket, and then much later, as you say, Hillary Clinton, and now Kamala Harris. He acted as a docent, as a valet, bringing blacks and Latinos and Native Americans and gays. He was the first candidate to support gay rights.
Farmers.
Yes, and
Appalachia
also
whites.
farmers and progressive whites connected to activist networks into the party. And it's also important to add that he changed the rules of the Democratic Party in terms of delegate allocation, without which Barack Obama would have never won the nomination
Winner takes
in
all.
2008. Yes.